Controversial opinion, you're too broke to be in a relationship. A relationship is a financial commitment, and unfortunately, my dear, you are financially unstable. But let's speak about how money plays itself out in relationships, right? Everything costs money. Babe, you're gonna have to go on dates. You're gonna have to go and have experiences and do all these things. Every single thing costs money, right? And there's different levels of the type of economic positioning that you can be in a relationship. Let me explain this using stocks and bonds, right? We all know what the JSE is. We all know what the New York Stock Exchange is, right? There are certain stocks and bonds that are more expensive than others. And that's the thing. It's the same thing with relationships. There are certain stocks and bonds, aka certain relationships that you can enter into that are quite affordable, right? You can go on a date where maybe you and your partner live in a certain neighborhood. Y'all can go to the city, take a taxi that's like 15 Rand, 20 Rand, 25 Rand where I live, because I live in the middle of nowhere. But 25 Rand to go to the city, and then you and your partner can go to Pie City, get a young little 2 pies for 1 special, or 2 pie special for 30 Rand, and maybe get a young little Coley, 18 Rand, 16 Rand for 2, 8 Rand, like the small ones that 8 Rand, so 16 Rand for 2, and then you can go on a walk to the park. Walk around Maboneng, walk around Bramt. We're walking, okay? We're Jill Scott. We're taking a long walk. But babe, that's basically the affordable stock date, right? Where it might, for each person who is, the 2 people who are in this date, for each person, they might have to pay, like 60 Rand? Like 80 Rand? You know what I'm saying? But quite affordable. And then there are other relationships, babes, where the babes wants to go to Marble. We're going to vacation, we're going to Cape Town, we're going to do all these things. And both are totally fine, right? I don't want to make it seem like one is better than the other. Both are totally fine. Love is love. And also, disclaimer, I don't think people should be waiting to be in a certain financial position before they let love happen. I think that love will show up when you're not looking. It will show up when you're not looking. So if that happens, it's totally fine. Explore what that looks like. But I think that if you know that you're not in an economic position to enter into a relationship, I don't think you should be actively pursuing romance. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me tell you a story, right? Story time. Kind of explaining my own experience and how this perspective was really shown to me, right? So I was dating this person, right? And they had a job, right? Very cute. It wasn't crazy. They weren't getting paid crazy, but they were getting paid enough to kind of just somewhat provide for themselves and somewhat live, right? It was still Sabamba Sasayega Banks, it was something, and it was their first job out of varsity, so you shouldn't be expecting crazy amounts. And Begumnandi guys, we'd be able to go out, we'd be able to do things, and even if we're staying at their place, it would still be a thing of we can buy some bottled wine, from Chateau Gateau Mano, and spooky movie, kumnandi nje, spoo Netflix, kumnandi. I get the devil works hard, so they lose their job then. Hey. Guys, I went from being a baddie in this relationship to being Mbokodo. At my young age, I became Mbokodo. I became a pillar of strength. Now when I was going to their place, man, I had to like stop by breathe. Ngicoshe like u-anyanyisi, amazambane, amawatwatwati, you know, because I couldn't go there empty-handed because umuntu was struggling. And went from drinking Chateau Gateau Mano wine, yeah, 250 rand, to drinking boxed rain dance. Yay, 5 liter. Gotta make it last the 5 liter rain dance, babes. It was bad. You know, but love lived here. But love lived here. So inside, you know what I'm saying? We had to do it. I became a pillar of strength. And let me tell you how money plays itself out in relationships. It got so bad, and I wanted to break up with this person, but I couldn't because I was like, oh my god, you're all that I have. I wasn't like paying rent or anything crazy like that, but I was your emotional support because poverty, especially losing your job or not having enough money, puts you in a place of just extreme depression, and just like your identity becomes so destroyed because in this society we really tie our identity to our economic standing, right? I guess so. I was a therapist, I was a young I was like, I was a pillar of strength. And basically this went on for like 3 months. During the second month, we were like, okay, let's open up our relationship. And I was totally down for this because I wanted to feel something else except empathy, because I just felt like sympathy and empathy and felt bad for this person. And genuinely, like this relationship became a emotional burden for me, like for real. I get we opened up a relationship, and maybe I went on like one other date, but it felt weird ukuthi ish me, I'm busy ngiyaytika that time umuntu wami is fighting for their lives back home, you know what I'm saying? And just like it I was just like 3 weeks later lo muntu uthola umsebenzi ne. And so bayamkhokhela like in advance ne. Immediately hey lo muntu immediate Hayi-ke usefuna ukujola nabanye abantu. Sharp, we're in an open relationship. But they became quite adamant to go and find somebody else, right? And literally like a week later, 2 weeks later, at my exhibition, they found Umuntu and started dating that person. Girl, the level of betrayal that I felt, and I started asking myself what is going on. And I didn't really understand until now. I reminded them of their financial inadequacy. I feel like even if it was subconsciously, they they saw me as a reminder of the shame that they had to basically show up as, because guys, the patriarchy is so real that we when we unable to define ourselves based on what as men, based on what a man according to patriarchy is supposed to be, which is a provider, it our whole world becomes dismantled, right? And so much shame sinks in. And it reminds me of that movie, A Criminy by Tyler Perry, where like this girl was a pillar of strength, and the moment that this man was able to get his bag, they went and found someone new who didn't remind them of that shame. Someone that they could that person could define them only as what they were showing up now, not what they used to show up as. So if you are dating someone who is in a different financial positioning as you, who is existing on a different spectrum as you, just be prepared for how that will switch. And honestly, this only happens with men, hey? It's very rare that women, once they start making money, they start acting up. It really be these niggas. But for me, that relationship and those dynamics kind of made me see how money plays itself out in relationships. If you're gonna enter into a relationship, you need to be aware. Also, I think this is why people end up being in relationships with people who are in the same tax bracket as them, because we can live a very particular lifestyle together, and no one has to negotiate or feel shame or whatever. We are on the same level, same WhatsApp group. And sometimes you have to just admit that you can't afford to be in a relationship right now and be okay with it. Use this time to build yourself and elevate your own financial standing.